Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm not going to edit this out, but I say okay at the start of every single class. When I edit, I go like this. Okay. I'm going to leave that in just because, again, I've just realised I've done it. And I'm trying not to say it again now. It's day 15. We've got our Hatha class in our stability week, which I've slotted our stability week really nicely in between our mobility that we did last week and then our core that we're doing next week. Because for me, I think that stability is a really nice mix between having that mobility, but also working on the core strength that we'll be continuing to build on next week. Because if you think about it, like I keep saying about stability, it's all about that resistance to change. So imagine you are in a side plank or in a high plank, for example, and your wrist is down here. We've got this nice bone to bone, this nice stable grounding. But your wrist, as soon as you start to tip a little bit over, which you will do whilst your weight moves around, or if we start to come forward to a lunge, and your wrist just does not like this, or you start to move side to side, you've got the tendency that you're going to fall over because you don't have that mobility there, therefore the stability is also not going to be there. And the core is kind of the glue that sucks it all together. So really think about not everything working separately, but we're really trying to glue everything together. Okay, so Hatha again, not going to be flowing around, we're going to be holding poses, so I really want you to use your breath, really stick with it, and just notice every single tiny bit that's starting to flicker on, the muscles that are starting to work, and maybe especially thinking about our ankle, shoulder, wrist mobility, just noticing if something feels a little bit tight so that you can work into that in your own time. Okay, so we're going to start off just seating, nice cross-legged, however you want to sit. And just come into our practice, hands onto the thighs, palms facing up, closing down the eyes. Breathing here. Starting to feel the sit bones really rooting to the ground. This feeling that we want to continue throughout our practice, this connection with the mat, helping us create this stability. That belly rising and falling. Final big inhale here. And exhale. Take the hands all the way up, maybe you start to open your eyes. And I want you to really draw the hands up, squeeze the shoulders in, and then release. Reach all the way up, really starting to work into those shoulder stretches. Keep reaching. 2 more big reaches, and 1. Taking the hands all the way in the opposite direction down to the ground, all the way up and in the opposite direction the other way. Trying not to move this torso, because say my right hand, I could easily twist round, but we want to keep everything nice and squared, because that's going to show you how much movement is actually coming from the shoulder joint itself. Okay, take a couple more here, just taking it up to the sky, back and forward. Just starting to feel those shoulders warming up. Okay, coming into eagle arm, so we want our right hand, our arm is going to go underneath the left. So we've got our right arm underneath our left from the side, you're going to look like this. Maybe you've got hold of the palms or just the back of the hands, whatever feels comfortable. What we want to do though, what's important, is almost you're creating this double chin, so you're pulling your head back. That means that you can really pull these forearms away from you, and you'll feel this stretch down the back, separating those shoulder blades. Try to keep the hands directly up to the sky so these forearms are parallel, and keep pulling those shoulders forward. Breathing here. Final inhale. Exhale all the way down. Have a little bit of a shimmy of those shoulders the way. So left arm underneath the right. Maybe you wrap it round, taking hold of those palms. Think about these elbows being at chin height as well. Pull back that head. Pull those forearms as far away from you as possible. Feeling this stretch now down the right side. Still breathing here. Final inhale. Exhale, fully release all the way down, really nice. Coming into our favourite plantar stretch. Tucking the toes, taking the weight back so the heels are back on the, taking the weight back so the hips are back on the heels, making sure you're spreading those toes. We wouldn't be very stable without having a really good base from our feet. And sit back. Maybe you want to close down your eyes so you can just focus on that breath even more. Think about the ears over the shoulders so that we've got the most efficient posture as possible. Imagine trying to stand up when you've got this really heavy head falling down in front of you. Your neck is firing extra hard to keep it up. You're not going to feel very efficient in your standing, in your posture. So thinking about our stability really being a top to toe action. Okay, take 3 more rounds of breath here. Really try to stick it out. Final inhale for me. Exhale, come all the way forward into your all fours. Give those feet a nice wiggle. Coming into our wrist stretch again, like I was saying about our side plank at the side plank at the beginning of the class. Push the mat away in these all fours and start to take circles around the wrists in one direction. Just working on our mobility. That internal help our stability. Make sure the fingers are spread nice and widely. Other way. Take the fingers out to the side, wrists touching, thumbs up to the front of the mat. Maybe you stay here, or again you're able to take those circles. And the other way. One more. Just kneel back just for a second, just to rotate those wrists. Okay, back to your all fours. Step straight to the top of the mat, toes together. Big forward fold, knees bent as much as they need to for your chest to rest on them. Head is hanging. Big inhale, halfway lift. Think about the weight being in the toes. Tailbone high. Exhale, fold. And then inhale all the way up to standing. Coming into our high lunge, taking our left leg all the way back. Bending through this right knee, slightly bending through that left leg as well so that we're not flaring our ribs. Everything is contained. Hands all the way up to the sky. Breathing here. Think about these shoulders opening, so we've got the biceps by our ears. That left hip flexor is getting a nice stretch. Make sure to activate those glutes. Breathing here. Final inhale. Exhale, take your hands to heart center. Make sure the elbows are sticking out. Inhale, think about the crown of the head lifting. And on your exhale, I want you to twist all the way round to the right, but not moving the position of that pelvis, of the hip joints. So keeping those facing forward. And you're just moving the torso around, keeping the hands at heart center. Don't be tempted to take them to that right armpit. Inhale, back forward. Really make sure you're grounding through the right big toe. Exhale, rotate. Because there's going to be a tendency, I can feel it with my own feet, that I'm starting to roll to the outside of that right foot. But so maybe even over exaggerate grounding through that right big toe to help you stay stable. One more time, exhale. Inhale, back to center, take this left leg. Take this left leg to meet the right, hands down. Okay, onto the other side, stepping this right leg straight back. Inhale, high lunge. Nice deep bends here. Keeping the rib cage contained. Make sure the shoulders aren't squeezing up really uncomfortably, but you're also not really drawing them down. This humerus here and the shoulder blades work in conjunction with one another. So if we were pulling these shoulder blades at the same time as reaching our arms up, it would be counterintuitive. Really feel those big toes grounding. The glutes engaged. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, crown of the head high. Exhale, twisting round to the left. Not moving those hip bones. Inhale, back through center. Exhale, twist. Remember what I said about grounding those toes. Inhale, back through center. Exhale, twist. One more time through center. Round to the left, really nice. Back through center. Coming all the way to the top of the mat, really good. Breathing here. Coming into mountain, so feet just about hips width apart, directly under these hip bones. Hands away from the body. Maybe closing down the eyes. Swaying from side to side, just feeling this weight transfer. Okay, coming into our second favourite pose, chair pose. So whether you are going to have a block in between those thighs, because you know that you are somebody that starts to drop those knees in, or you've got your toes together, heels ever so slightly apart, however you want to practice. Inhale, hands all the way up, sink those hips down. Again, if you are somebody that starts to flare these ribs because you don't have such the mobility in the shoulders, absolutely you take the hands to heart center, hands out in front, rather than trying to draw them up to the biceps and pulling through, because we want that action to be coming through this nice open pelvis and nice open back. Make sure that you can see your toes. You can wiggle your toes. Think about those hips squeezing into this central line, the thighs really engaged, pulling towards one another. If you can, on your exhale, we're going to sink all the way down to the ground. Don't touch the bum. Take the hands out in front. That's going to help with this stability. And then inhale all the way back up, pushing through the heels, driving back up. Exhale all the way down. Inhale all the way up. Whether you're holding your chair or you're coming down for the last time. And then inhale all the way up, really nice. Back to your mountain. Take those feet apart if they're not already. Coming back into your breath. Okay, coming into our eagle now. I'm going to come and face you. So our eagle, we did the eagle arms at the start, so you can add those in if you want, not necessary. Taking our right leg over and right arm under, if you're doing the arms as well. If you find eagle really painful on the knees, just come to figure 4. So you've got your right foot flexed, the right ankle to the outside of that left thigh. Okay, if you're coming into eagle, take this right leg all the way over the left. Maybe it wraps around that left calf, or maybe it just stays to the side. We want these hip bones, those square to the front. And then if you're doing the arms as well, right arm under. Exactly as we did at the start, we've got our elbows at chin height, pulling the forearms away, pulling that head back. You are going to feel that left leg, that standing leg, wobbling like crazy. Make sure you're grounding through all 5 toes. Maybe you sink down a little bit more. Keep that chest nice and high. Don't be tempted to slouch down. This is a real test of everything working here on mobility, stability, core strength. Take one more big breath. Exhale all the way up, really nice. Maybe have a little bit of a wobble. Okay, coming onto the other side, and then we're going to be coming down to our mats. Right leg standing, left leg crossed over. Bend through that right leg a little bit. Maybe you can wrap around. And then left arm under. Don't force anything that doesn't feel right with your knees, so absolutely come out of it. Keep thinking about those hips being square. Final inhale. Exhale all the way up, really nice. Coming back into your mountain. Breathing here. Working our way down to the mat, maybe taking the toes together. Big inhale, hands up, gaze up. Exhale, forward fold, knees bent, chest to thighs. Inhale, halfway lift. Make sure the weight is in the toes. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step straight back into your high plank. Staying here for a couple of rounds of breath. Making sure that core is engaged, glutes are engaged. Actively driving that energy through the heels. Fingers are spread nice and widely. Final inhale here. And exhale, coming into a side plank on our left side, so right arm lifted. Maybe you come down onto this left knee and bring the right hand high wherever you want to go. Or you're rolling onto the left outside edge of the foot. Really think about the underside working to keep you stable. And use these fingers, see my fingers? They're like grippy pads, and that's going to help me stay stable here. Shoulder blades drawing together. Quads engaged, glutes engaged. Let's test the stability. Right hand forward. And all the way back in this nice rainbow. Forward and back. Forward and back. One more time, forward and back. Really nice. High plank, just come down to your child's pose just for a couple of rounds of breath. Maybe you want to just rotate that left wrist. You know where we're going now. Inhale, come through your high plank just for a second, and then setting up for that side plank on the other side. Make sure this right hand, you've got the wrist and shoulder in line. Reaching that left hand high. Grounding that weight through the hands, really pushing in, driving the hips high. Shoulder blades drawing together. Testing that stability, left hand reaches forward. All the way back in this really nice big rainbow. Forward and back. Forward and back. One more time, forward and back. All the way down to your high plank. And then back to your child's pose. Coming back into your breath here. Really find that deep, expansive breath. Even though that stomach is feeling a bit compressed, find areas that you can breathe into. Inhale all the way up, coming to kneeling. We're going to be coming into a camel pose. If you know this is absolutely not for you, you can try a baby camel. Toes together, knees apart, just like our wide leg child's pose. Hands behind you. And then what you're going to do, you're going to squeeze the glutes so much that that actually sends you high, pulling the shoulder blades together. That's going to be a lot more accessible. If you're coming to camel, you've got your toes tucked, kneeling all the way up, hands underneath, hands on the lower back. I prefer to have my fingers facing down, but you might want them at the sides, whatever feels like you've got support of that lower back. Now our lower back is for stability rather than mobility. Where we start to get lower back pain is when we don't have mobile hips, our hip flexors are tight, our glutes are weak, and then the lower back does a lot of work that it shouldn't be doing. So hands here to keep it nice and supported. Big inhale, think about this chest, this heart pulling through to the sky, activating the glutes, activating the quads, and starting, rather than thinking about leaning back, think about pulling the chest through instead. And the leaning back almost comes from the shoulder blades drawing together. Breathing here. Final inhale. Exhale, tuck the chin super slowly all the way down. The slower that you come back down, the less risk of that head rush. Now just notice if the head rush is something that's you can cope with, or it's actually just really just doesn't feel right. I get a little bit of a head rush when I come from it, but I've obviously been practicing and I know that I'm not going to have any bad side effects. So if you're unsure, come to that baby camel variation, I would. Okay, we're going to do it 2 more times, all the way up, tuck the toes, hands on that back. Inhale, lift, already activate the glutes and quads, and then exhale, pull that heart through, draw the shoulders together. If you feel confident, you can take the hands down to those heels, but as long as you're keeping those thighs drawing forward, so ideally on top of the knees. Keep pulling the chest through. Final inhale. Exhale, if you've got your hands on your heels, back to the lower back, tuck the chin, all the way down, really nice. Taking it one more time. When you're ready, come all the way back up. If you want to do it a next level, untuck those toes, hands behind. Inhale, lift, engage. Exhale, start to lift high. And then take the hands back down to the heels again if you want, but again, keeping those thighs drawing forwards. Keeping that chest high and breathing. Final inhale. Exhale, hands back to the back. Tuck that chin. Inhale all the way up. And everybody come down to a closed knees child's pose. Hands behind you, let those shoulders roll inwards. So a counter stretch to what we've been doing, and this lower back getting a nice stretch. We don't want to take any sudden movements after we've been doing any kind of stretching with our backs. So be really considerate. Inhale, come all the way back up to kneeling. Take those legs all the way around to the front, coming into a wide leg fold. So legs as wide as you want them, as wide as they'll go. Decide whether you want to really push yourself again within reason, or you want to have them a little bit, closer than your absolute max. Flex those toes, remember. Make sure the 4 feet are drawing back with them. Hamstrings lengthen. Okay, inhale, pull this chest through just like we were doing with camel. You've got your hip joints here that we've been touching. And then you're going to stick your bum out, and the fold again is coming from these hip joints. It's coming from the chest, falling down rather than the shoulders reaching. And you're almost gazing further forward than you can possibly go. So inhale, engage. Maybe you just stay here. Maybe this is enough. And then on your exhale, start to walk forward to whatever feels comfortable for you. Maybe you're just over the point of comfortable, and you're going to use that breath to get you back to being comfortable. Keep those quads engaged, keep those feet flexed, keep the toes drawing up to the sky. Breathing here. Maybe you're able to inhale, think about the crown going longer, and then exhale, walk further forward. Now, if I don't utilise my breath here, I'm sure I've said it before, but if I don't, then I really start to feel this fight or flight response kick in quite quickly, quite aggressively, and it really makes me want to jump out and go and do something else. Draw my legs together, so I really need to concentrate. And by doing so, that's created these positive muscle memories, knowing that my body is okay, I'm not doing anything bad to my body. And my muscles allow me to start to come further forward. Take 2 more inhales. Final inhale, super slowly, come all the way back up. Hands to the outside of the thighs again, nice and slowly draw those knees in. Place the feet on the ground, big hug of those legs into the chest. And then we're going to exhale slowly all the way down to our mats. Taking the knees over to the right, just letting them sit here. Hands both out to the sides, palms facing down to the ground. Gaze over to the left. Inhale, knees all the way up to the sky, over to the left, gaze right. Inhale all the way back up. Come into a happy baby, maybe you do half or full, grabbing hold of the outside of those feet, flexing the feet, heels drawing up to the sky, drawing the knees into the armpits, drawing the shoulders down to the ground. If these hip joints can work effectively, really working to that full range of movement, they are so much more likely to give us that stability to work with us whilst we're moving from standing up to going down to twisting, moving side to side. Final inhale. Exhale, fully release, coming into our Shavasana, closing down the eyes. Limbs away from our body. Feet falling out to the side. Fingers just in this nice natural curve. Really feeling heavy here. Even though it doesn't feel like we have done a lot, my muscles definitely can feel it. So it's really, really true to our yoga practice that it doesn't have to be sweaty. It doesn't have to be long. If you're doing the poses and you're doing them right, and you're engaging the right muscles, you are going to be feeling it, you're going to be working. Really feel this belly rising and falling. Allowing you to completely let go and sink further into the ground. Slowly coming out of our Shavasana, bringing that movement back into our limbs, rotating, wobbling, wiggling. Big stretch, fingers and toes as far away from one another as possible. Bend up the knees, roll over to one side. Maybe you just take a chance to stay here. Or if you want to end the practice all the way sitting up, absolutely do so, keeping the eyes closed for as long as you can. Hands onto the thighs, palms facing up. Well done, everyone. You're developing so much. You're layering on so much knowledge and power into your practice. Learning so much about your bodies. These complex things that we move around in. And maybe you won't even realize it now, but something will happen and you'll be able to come back to all of this knowledge. Hands to heart center, bow the chin to the chest, thumbs to the third eye. Again, a million times thank you for letting me share this practice with you. Take a really nice deep breath. Really big breath out. Coming to the end of our session. Hands away from the eyes and blink the eyes open.